You get a line, I'll get a pole, honey. You get a line, I'll get a pole, babe. You get a line, I'll get a pole, and we'll go fishing in the crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be a revisit of this Catalina number 804. And I did a video on this before, but it's almost an hour long. And I'm thinking this video should not be anywhere near that long, because now that I know how it comes apart and how you should go about working on it, we're going to do a quick take apart on it so that you can see. And, well, things should go a lot faster. We're going to start off by taking off the drag knob. Okay, set that over to the side. We're going to pull off the spool, and we'll sit it down here. And I am going to remove the spring. Got that up and out of there. We'll pop these out. And basically what you've got here, you have a spring, okay, and you have a leather drag washer, big, thick, heavy one, and then you've got this keyed washer, and it's keyed to the shaft on the axle shaft. Okay, we'll snap that back in. Okay, that's how you take that apart. We're going to move on. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out these 3 screws on the side here. Let's turn this up so you can see it better. There we go. All right, that removes the side plate. Now, next thing we're going to do is remove this screw right here from the crosswind block. And be careful in there. There is a small lock washer that fits on that screw. You don't want to lose that. There it is right there. Okay. And we're going to slide out the axle shaft. And then comes the crosswind block. And next comes the crosswind gear. And be careful, because there's a little sleeve right here that fits on that post. Don't lose that. Okay. Now, this is where this would start to get tricky. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the handle. Okay. And you could lubricate that if you wish. All right. Now, we could, at this point, go ahead and take out this main gear. But if we do that, then we're not going to be able to take the rotor off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and unscrew the nut on the rotor, but we're only going to unscrew it part way to right about there. Okay, now what's going to happen is the rotor needs to unscrew, but if you look, it's going to try to turn while you're turning everything else. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this rag and I'm going to tuck it right into this little spot right here, and then go ahead and rotate this. And what's going to happen, it's going to pull that rag down into the gear, and it's going to lock them up. So now we've already loosened this nut. There we go. That allows us to unscrew the rotor. Okay. Now we can take off the rotor by unscrewing it the rest of the way. Okay. There's a shim. There is the bearing. And now we can rotate this back the opposite direction to take that rag out. With that done, we can take the main gear out. Okay, there's the main gear out. And now we can take out the pinion shaft. Now I shimmed this pinion last time, and if you look, there's a whole bunch of different size shims in here. Okay, so what I did is I went ahead and ordered some new shims for it. And we're going to go ahead and take a second to install a new shim pack. Let's see what kind of shims I put in here last time. Okay, if we put all the pinion shims together, they come to 1.89 millimeters. Okay, 1.87, 1.85. Okay, depending on how much grease is on there. Okay, these are the shims that I ordered. I ordered them off of Amazon, and these are, let's see, yeah, they're not really telling me. And let's go ahead and get them out, and we'll do a quick measurement on them. And see what we need. Okay. Okay, they're 0.44, 0.45. Okay, so 3 of these, it gives us 1.42, and I think we're going to be too big if we go 4 of them. 1.92. I think that'll probably work out okay. I'm just afraid that I don't want to over tighten it, but I think that'll be fine. Okay, so that's what we're going to put in there. We're going to put those 4 shims in there, and we'll go ahead and put those onto the pinion. There we go. And now we're going to shim up the main gear. And the main gear has definitely a mismatched shim pack here. That's what I was waiting on coming back to get this done, because I wanted the new shims to arrive. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Okay, 0.44. That's about the thickness of one of these new shims that I just got. Let's see what we have over here. Let's see. 0.33. 0.46. This one here ought to do just fine. Okay, so we'll take this shim, put that on there, and this is actually a 9 shaft, and these are 10 millimeter, but I think they'll be okay. All right, and at that point, we're ready to start reassembling this. If you look inside here, this is your anti-reverse, and real quickly, there is a swedged on ring right here. If you needed to take all this apart, you would have to get that brass ring off of there. You'd have to slide it up and off of there, and it's crimped in place, so you don't really want to touch that unless you have to. But you could, I guess, grab hold of that with a pair of channel locks or vice grips or something and kind of twist it off there, but then you'd have to replace it in order to hold all this tight. But that's what holds all this down snug, so you really don't want to mess with that if you can help it. Okay, and we're going to take it and flip it around this way. If you look, that opens it up and disengages the anti-reverse. And with that done, we are now ready to install our pinion gear. There we go, with the pinion. All right, before we go too far, I do want to go ahead and take this apart. We're going to redo this rotor, and I didn't do it in the other video, but we're going to do it in this one. So we're going to start off by removing this screw that holds the line roller in place. And be careful, because this cup right here will come off along with the screw. Okay, and if there's any tension on this, it can kind of send things flying, so be careful. Okay, there's the screw, there's the line roller, and put this in and just give it a little twist to hold it all together. Okay, we're going to go to the other side now, and this is a curved screw down in there, so we're going to use a curved pointed screwdriver, and we'll unscrew this, and that will remove this assembly. Now, I had to make this felt ring that goes in here. If you look, This was the original felt ring that was in there, and it was broken into 3 parts. Only 2 parts were still in existence. And so I made a new one. I had some 1/8 inch felt, and I cut this out and put it on there. So that takes care of that. Now we're going to go over here, and we're going to show you how to reset this. Okay, we're going to take this off. Okay. There we go. There we go. And there's the spring for it. Okay, it's all those parts out. And now we've got this part here left. And this was a little bit tricky, so I'm not going to bother showing you how I did this. But basically, I took this spring off, and it's a real pain to get it to go back on that post. So if you don't have to take this off, don't take it off. But if you do, make sure to unclip it off of there before you undo the screw, and that kind of helps hold everything together. But this is on a shoulder, so I would leave all this. It's loose enough that you shouldn't have any trouble cleaning that right where it sits. Okay, with that done, now we're going to see about putting all this back. So we're going to start off with the spring. The spring goes in. It's got a tag end sticking off the side, and this side over here has got one that sticks straight up. See that one? Okay, we want this to come over here. We're going to move this out of the way over here. There we go. And set that back in to where that spring goes into that notch. That's the plan. There's the notch right there. We want that spring to go. Wait a minute. Is that right? Nope, there's a hole. See that hole right there? It goes in that hole. That's what I thought. Okay. So let's get that spring to go down in that hole, which is not going to be that easy to do. Let's aim that for the hole, get it in. There we go. Spring is in the hole. Okay, and you can keep this held out of the way with your thumb if you wish. Okay, now this has got to go on here, and that up spring has got to go into this hole that's right there. Okay, so let's get that into that hole. When you put something like this on, you have to get the shoulder here to fit into this inset right here. This one's not that way. This one has to sit on the shoulder. Let's take this off for a second. This one, it's going to sit on this shoulder. Instead of having a shoulder on the screw, the shoulder is on the rotor itself. Okay, and that's what we want it to be on. Okay, so let's try this again. Back this up, slide this one down, get it into that hole. Okay, we're going to fit this back into that hole for the top of the spring. And I'm really missing that wonderful eyesight I used to have when I was a kid. Okay, bring this around. Okay, when it's there, now, okay, it's already there. It's held with tension. Okay, but you got to hold it down or it's going to pop right up and off. Okay, now we'll go ahead and put the screw in. And that way we're not having to fight it. I'm going to use a little screwdriver to get it started. Okay, and then we'll use the big rounded screwdriver to tighten it up. There we go. And there's the lock. And there's the trip release for the lock. Now it's tight. Don't want to get your finger in this one. There we go. Okay. With that done, let's go back to this other side. We'll sit this back into this ring like so. We'll set it back on here like this, and we'll go ahead and put that screw in. make sure, it would probably be easier to do before you put all this together, but make sure to oil that felt pad. Okay, now that's turning, doing what it's supposed to do, and now we're going to come back over to this side, take this one off, and we're going to hold this roller in place over here like this, and then screw this down. And that should give us a good viable bail. There we go. Okay. With the pinion gear installed, we're going to go ahead, put on the bearing, put on the shim, and then we're going to come back here and get the rotor restarted. And see how that feels. Okay, it feels good. Okay, you don't need to try to crank it down real tight. You just need to take the play out. You might even want to take it and leave it just a little bit loose. Okay, especially if you shimmed it. Okay, right about there. And then we'll go ahead, tighten this down. Hold it in place. All right. Now, do we have any play in the rotor? We do not yet. It spins quite freely. Okay. Make sure that you have adequately lubricated the rotor. And now, go ahead, do the same for your main gear. And reinstall it. There we go. To hold that in place, we'll go ahead and screw the handle back on. And at this point, we can check that shim that we just put in. See if we have any play here. We do not. And yet, it's not too tight either. Okay, so those shims are working just fine. There's no play in this hardly at all. Okay. Now, we're going to come back, reinstall the axle shaft with some oil on it. Install that back through the pinion. And we're going to take our crosswind gear and install it like so. Crosswind block, make sure that, don't forget that sleeve, make sure it's there. Take the crosswind block, set it across here, and it should be well lubricated and oiled, and it all is. And I just took that sleeve off by accident. Okay, we'll put it back in place. Oh, that didn't go. Try it again. Well, there. Okay, with that held in place, we'll set this back in, set it over top of there, and install the axle shaft. Line up the hole for the screw, and make sure that you have your lock washer. Okay, there's the lock washer on. Put that in and get it started. Okay. There we go. Now we're ready to put these 3 screws back in. All right, there we go. Now we will replace the rotor, reinstall the drag knob, and there you have the Catalina 804, and hopefully this has been a whole lot faster than the last video. This shows you how to do it without having to go a whole bunch of extra steps that are unnecessary, and get you there and get you back without having too much trouble. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about it. For now, that's Rick Stivers of YoungMartin'sReels signing out.